What is spaced repetition? Spaced repetition is a scientifically proven learning technique that helps you remember information for a long time by reviewing it at increasing intervals. Instead of cramming everything at once, you review material just before you forget it, which strengthens memory and improves retention. This technique is especially effective for learning English vocabulary, grammar rules, pronunciation, and phrases, as it helps reinforce what you've learned over time. How to use spaced repetition to learn English. 1. Use flashcards with spaced intervals. Flashcards are a great way to use spaced repetition, especially for learning vocabulary. You can use physical flashcards or apps like Anki, Quizlet, or Memrise, which automatically schedule reviews for you. How to do it. Write the English word on one side and the translation/example sentence on the other. Start by reviewing new words on the same day. Repeat them the next day, then 3 days later, a week later, and so on. White heavy check mark example. You learn the word exaggerate today. You review it tomorrow, then in 3 days, then a week later, and then in 2 weeks. 2. Apply spaced repetition to listening and speaking. It's not just for vocabulary, use spaced repetition for listening and speaking practice too. How to do it. Listen to a short dialogue or speech and try to understand it. Repeat listening after a few days without looking at a transcript. Try to recall and summarize what you heard. Speak or record yourself using key phrases from the conversation. White heavy check mark example. You listen to a TED Talk in English today. In 3 days, you listen again and try to repeat key points. In a week, you summarize it out loud. 3. Use spaced repetition for grammar rules. Memorizing grammar rules can be hard, but spaced repetition makes it easier. How to do it. Write down an important grammar rule, e.g., past perfect versus past simple. Review it the next day and do a few practice exercises. Test yourself a few days later by writing sentences using the rule. After a week, explain the rule in your own words. White heavy check mark example. You study conditional sentences today. Tomorrow, you do a short quiz. 3 days later, you write 5 sentences using conditionals. A week later, you explain the rule to a friend. 4. Practice spaced repetition in reading and writing. Reading and writing in English regularly helps reinforce what you learn. How to do it. Read a short article or book chapter in English. Highlight new words or expressions and review them a few days later. Try to use the new words in a written paragraph or journal entry. Come back in a week and check if you remember them. White heavy check mark example. You read an article about climate change today and highlight carbon footprint. 3 days later, you review it and use it in a sentence. A week later, you check if you still remember it.